everyone, Britta Albert here. If this is your first time here, I'm a spiritual transformational life coach. It's my goal for this channel to help you overcome the obstacles that are standing in the way of you living your best and most authentic life. In today's video, we are continuing on with our Conversations with God series by Neale Donald Walsch. If you are not familiar with this series, I have a playlist that goes through the introduction to where we are now. I highly recommend that you check it out. After this video, definitely grab some popcorn, grab some snacks, your favorite drink, whatever you like, and binge watch this series because it is a good one. Now you're about to hear a clip that's a little bit more controversial. There's nothing really bad in it, but it can be triggering to some people if you are more sensitive to basic human functions. The reason that I like to play these clips for you, if this is your first time watching a Conversations with God video, is so that you can listen for yourself and you can decide what resonates as truth and what does not. The same things that stand out to me might not be the same things that stand out to you. What resonates with me or what I get from a particular message might not be the same thing that speaks to you. So it's really important for me to bring this information to you so you can hear it for yourself and it can speak truth to you in the way that resonates most with who you are and where you're at on your journey. At the end of the video, you'll hear my take and my perspective about what you just listened to. So without further ado, I give you Conversations with God.
What you resist persists, and what you look at disappears. Can you explain that?
You cannot resist something to which you grant no reality. The act of resisting a thing is the act of granting it life. When you resist an energy, you place it there. The more you resist, the more you make it real, whatever it is you're resisting. What you open your eyes to look at disappears. That is, it ceases to hold its illusory form. If you look at something, truly look at it, you will see right through it, and right through any illusion it holds for you, leaving nothing but ultimate reality in your sight. In the face of ultimate reality, your puny illusion has no power. It cannot long hold you in its weakening grip. You see the truth of it, and the truth sets you free.
But what if you don't want the thing you're looking at to disappear?
You should always want it to. There's nothing in your reality to hold on to. And if you do choose the illusion of your life over ultimate reality, you may simply recreate it, just as you created it to begin with. In this way, you may have in your life what you choose to have, and eliminate from your life what you no longer wish to experience. You never resist anything. If you think that by your resistance you will eliminate it, think again. You only plant it more firmly in place. Have I not told you all thought is creative?
Even a thought that says I don't want something?
If you don't want it, why think about it? Don't give it a second thought. Yet if you must think about it, that is, if you cannot not think about it, then do not resist. Rather, look at whatever it is directly. Accept the reality as your creation. Then choose to keep it or not, as you wish.
Who would dictate that choice?
Who and what you think you are dictate that choice, and who and what you choose to be. This dictates all choice, every choice you have made in your life and ever will make.
And so the life of a renunciate is an incorrect path.
That is not a truth. The word renunciate holds such wrongful meaning. In truth, you cannot renounce anything, because what you resist persists. The true renunciate does not renounce, but simply chooses differently. This is an act of moving towards something, not away from something. You cannot move away from something because it will chase you all over hell and back. Therefore resist not temptation, but simply turn from it. Turn toward me, and away from anything unlike me. You know this. There is no such thing as an incorrect path. For on this journey you cannot not get where you are going. It is simply a matter of speed, merely a question of when you will get there. Yet even that is an illusion, for there is no when, neither is there a before or after. There's only now, an eternal moment of always in which you are experiencing yourself.
Then what's the point? If there's no way not to get there, what's the point of life? Why should we worry at all about anything we do?
Well, of course you shouldn't. But you would do well to be observant. Simply notice who and what you are being, doing, and having, and see whether it serves you. The point of life is not to get anywhere. It is to notice that you are, and have always been, already there. You are, always and forever, in the moment of pure creation. The point of life is therefore to create who and what you are, and then to experience that.
What of suffering? Is suffering the way and the path to God? Some say it is the only way.
I am not pleased by suffering, and whoever says I am does not know me. Suffering is an unnecessary aspect of the human experience. It is not only unnecessary, it is unwise, uncomfortable, and hazardous to your health.
Then why is there so much suffering? Why don't you, if you are God, put an end to it, if you dislike it so much?
I have put an end to suffering. You simply refuse to use the tools I have given you with which to realize that. You see, suffering has nothing to do with events, but with one's reaction to them. What's happening is merely what's happening. How you feel about it is another matter. I've given you the tools with which to respond and react to events in a way which reduces, in fact eliminates, pain. But you've not used them.
Excuse me, but why not eliminate the events?
A very good suggestion. Unfortunately, I have no control over them.
You have no control over events?
Of course not. Events are occurrences in time and space which you produce out of choice. And I will never interfere with choices. To do so would be to obviate the very reason I created you. But I've explained all this before. Some events you produce willfully. Some events you draw to you, more or less unconsciously. Some events, major natural disasters are among those you toss into this category, are written off to fate. And even fate can be an acronym for from all thoughts everywhere. In other words, the consciousness of the planet.
The collective consciousness.
Precisely, exactly.
There are those who say the world is going to hell in a handbasket. Our ecology is dying, our planet is in for major geophysical disasters, earthquakes, volcanoes, maybe even a tilting of the Earth on its axis. There are others who say collective consciousness can change all that we can save the Earth with our thoughts.
Thoughts put into action. If enough people everywhere believe something must be done to help the environment, you will save the Earth. But you must work fast. So much damage has already been done for so long. This will take a major attitudinal shift.
You mean if we don't, we'll see the Earth and its inhabitants destroyed?
I have made the laws of the physical universe clear enough for anyone to understand. There are laws of cause and effect which have been sufficiently outlined to your scientists, physicists, and through them to your world leaders. These laws don't need to be outlined once more here.
Well, getting back to suffering then, where did we ever get the idea that suffering was good, that the saintly suffer in silence?
The saintly do suffer in silence, but that does not mean suffering is good. The students in the School of Mastery suffer in silence because they understand that suffering is not the way of God, but rather a sure sign that there is still something to learn of the way of God, still something to remember. The true master does not suffer in silence at all, but only appears to be suffering without complaint. The reason that the true master does not complain is that the true master is not suffering, but simply experiencing a set of circumstances that you would call insufferable. A practicing master does not speak of suffering simply because a master practicing clearly understands the power of the word, and so chooses to simply not say a word about it. We make real that to which we pay attention. The master knows this. The master places himself at choice with regard to that which she chooses to make real. You've all done this from time to time. There's not a one among you who has not made a headache disappear, or a visit to the dentist less painful through your decision about it. The master simply makes the same decision about larger things.
But why have suffering at all? Why have even the possibility of suffering?
You cannot know and become that which you are in the absence of that which you are not, as I have already explained to you.
I still don't understand how he ever got the idea that suffering was good.
You are wise to be insistent in questioning that. The original wisdom surrounding suffering and silence has become so perverted that now many believe, and several religions actually teach, that suffering is good and joy is bad. Therefore, you have decided that if someone has cancer but keeps it to himself, he is a saint. Whereas if someone has, to pick a dynamite topic, robust sexuality and celebrates it openly, she is a sinner.
Boy, you did pick a dynamite topic. And you cleverly changed the pronoun, too, from male to female. Was that to make a point?
Was to show you your prejudices. You don't like to think of women having robust sexuality, much less celebrating it openly. You would rather see a man dying without a whimper on the battlefield than a woman making love with a whimper in the street.
Wouldn't you?
I have no judgment one way or the other, but you have all sorts of them. And I suggest that it is your judgments which keep you from joy, and your expectations which make you unhappy. All of this put together is what causes you dis-ease, and therein begins your suffering.
How do I know that what you're saying is true? How do I know this is even God speaking, and not my own overactive imagination?
You've asked that before. My answer is the same. What difference does it make? Even if everything I've said is wrong, can you think of a better way to live?
No.
Then wrong is right, and right is wrong. Yet I'll tell you this, to help you out of your dilemma, believe nothing I say. Simply live it. Experience it. Then live whatever other paradigm you want to construct. Afterward, look to your experience to find your truth. One day, if you have a great deal of courage, you will experience a world where making love is considered better than making war. On that day will you rejoice.
So what did you think? There was a lot of information in this one, and it makes me so excited to get into these more polarizing topics. Because when we go deep, it becomes polarizing. There's no way around it. You are either somebody who fully embraces this and agrees, or you absolutely disagree and it does not resonate with you. And like God said in this passage, he challenges Neale. Don't listen to anything I say. Put it into action. And then after you've experienced it, go back to your belief system or whatever that paradigm looks like and live that way and see which way serves you better. There's going to be things that are edifying and there's going to be things that are not. And just because something's edifying does not necessarily mean that it is what we consider righteous. Edifying is going to be something that's pleasing God. And ultimately what pleases God is what's best for you. The polarizing fact in this video, of course, is this last section that I'm referring to. Because, of course, the way that it was set up, it just makes so much sense. We as a society would rather see a man dying on the battlefield without a whimper than to see a woman embracing her sexuality on the street with a whimper. Why? Why is that? Where did it become this hard line of what is right and what is wrong, of what is edifying and what is sinful? And who decides that? I'm not saying for everyone to go out in the street and show their sexuality to the world. God didn't say to do that either. There's be some people who might listen to this and they're like, well, I don't believe in the Conversations with God books because I don't believe that God would say that. Say what? God didn't say go into the street and show your sexuality. God said, I have no judgment either way. Whether somebody dies on the battlefield without a whimper or there's a woman in the street showing her sexuality with a whimper. God has no judgment, but we sure as hell do. We have a lot of judgments about that. He made a point because it brought something up inside of you. You felt uncomfortable. Or there was that aha moment of realization like, oh wow, yeah, we definitely have a lot of judgments about that. Or maybe you've been there, maybe you've heard this before and you're like, yep, completely, you know what you're talking about, completely understand, I see it. God's not telling you to change your belief systems. Now, because that question is posed, you have the freedom to be able to make the decisions that best serve you. If you still don't feel comfortable with other people's sexuality being out in the open for you to see, that's fine. And it's, in my opinion, not always appropriate. I don't think that children should be exposed to sex and things of that nature. But I can decide that for myself. And I can also not judge someone who has a more prominent sexuality. When we start to ask ourselves these questions, it opens up the opportunity for conversations within ourselves. We start to question why. Why do I hate this thing? Why do I judge this thing? Why does this thing make me uncomfortable? Is it coming from my own convictions? Or is it coming from what I've been told? Do I really believe this in my heart? Or is this coming from my upbringing or my community or society? Where is this coming from? And then, again, you get to decide, does it serve you or does it not? Do you want to keep that belief system or do you want to tweak it a little bit? Maybe not get rid of it fully, but maybe not subscribe and hold it so tightly that it gets in the way of you loving your fellow man. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and I hope you are enjoying this series. If you are, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. And also, if you have not subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I love you guys and I will see you next time.